Tap family, it's the mighty Coleman House Initiative, Moncho and Nawasha Edu, live and direct in the summer air to speak to you about
Moncho's favorite subject.
Yes, sex in the heat of love workshop series. But we wanted to talk about sex and
the most important thing that we want people to know is that all sex is some form of marriage. You're really unifying with another person on a spiritual, emotional, mental, physical level. Sometimes we focus only on the physical, but no matter how insignificant you think your encounter is, it's staying with you, and you are married to that person in some way for infinity.
Okay. And what I would like to say is the first thing I would like to share about sex is beautiful. We all know that. Well, some of us don't know that actually.
Yeah,
but sex, if you didn't know, sex is very beautiful. Not just pleasing and gratifying, but actually very beautiful. And from a spiritual level, I think that sex is the unity of complementary energies. And that's very important. When I say complements, I'm referring to what most people call opposites. So it's complementary energies, and they come together to create a third thing, that holy trinity, that pyramid. You know, we call making love going to the tip of the pyramid, because I take my side, she takes her side, and we meet at the top. And oh man, it's great. But so that's how I see sex on a spiritual level. Culturally, I think that it's important that we look at sex from a certain cultural lens. And we have, as black people who are lost to our ancient culture, we got to understand that whenever we hear words like love or sex or marriage, those are not absolute words that are devoid of any specific culture. In fact, it's just the opposite. Sex, marriage, or love has to be defined from a cultural lens. So when we say love, my question is, what cultural lens are you talking about? Or when we say sex, because from our ancient standpoint, sex is only the spiritual, mental, plus the emotional, which includes your intentions, combined with the physical act of a man and a woman. That is the only thing that sex is. So if we define that is what sex is, then copulation or physical activity with an animal isn't sex. Copulation with a man, wife, or a woman, husband, as my aunt teaches us, which is someone who's one sex posing as the other, isn't sex. Having copulation or interaction with children, that isn't sex. Even having sex or having copulation with yourself, which they call masturbation, is not actually sex from a cultural lens. And so when you understand that, it makes everything look differently.
So what are the purposes of sex? You know, we know that you're going to create children physically through sex, but also you're creating your ideas. So the other purpose of sex is to come to the understanding of your purpose in life through those levels of intimacy that you're reaching in a sexual experience. So you do create non-physical children, so spiritual children or ideas or situations through your sex. So you definitely want to be mindful of who you're with and what choices that you are making when you pick someone to be with, not just picking them for helping you to masturbate or just picking somebody for a one-night stand or some of the other things that we say, but really understanding that when any two people come together, even for a conversation, a third thing is created, if it's the understanding that's created or the movement that's created. So that definitely happens on a more spiritual level with coming together intimately.
And I think for men, we know that we haven't been taught sex correctly. Myself and my friends, we were, growing up like many of us without the real initiation into sexual rites of passage or that guidance. I'm saying? We was learning from porno films and various different things, the peanut gallery of guys telling us do this, do that, and then you enter into a sexual experience with a person and you doing what you saw Long Dong Silver doing, and it don't work like him because you don't realize it's 100 cuts in that,
and she's not getting paid,
and she's not getting paid, and she's not being pleased, or you're not connecting with her. And so we try to emulate or repeat what we've heard on the street from the peanut gallery, you know, because dumb brothers in the cipher co-sign everything. And or what we've seen in these porno films, not really understanding what that business is about and how psychotic it is and how it trains us to be ineffective at making love. And so, you know, we don't understand that sex in and of itself comes from a cultural standard, like the procreative god Seb, or Neteru Seb. Europeans added the X for resurrection of Asar and gave us the word sex. So even when we saying the word, it comes from our culture, but we're perverting it. And so we lost. And as the foundation of the relationship, when it starts off lost, it ends up what we got today. You know what I'm saying? And
the best thing that a woman can do is really know herself, you know, so really understand what your boundaries are. Sometimes we have challenges because we think we have good boundaries, but in actuality, they're really loose or fluid. Right. So we change our minds, or we don't have any type of way to enforce what we really want. So the best thing is to just be honest with yourself. If you're looking for commitment, say you're looking for commitment. Right. Don't cave in because of the person that you happen to be dealing with, because we're taking that person into us, literally, but you're creating yourself. So from a comedic understanding, you're really using the science of transformation and recreation. So the kepara that is in divine creation is what we're doing when we're literally combining with this person. So we take in sperm, we take in the actual elements of the person that we're with.
The intention.
Exactly. And it stays with us. So even when you're done with that person, there's an element that's now infused into your body. So that's the best thing that you can do, is decide what you want your boundaries to be realistically. What one or two things you really have a boundary on that you need to get out of a relationship, out of an intimate relationship, and then believe that you deserve that. You know, so work on yourself. The best thing I would say is be your real, true, authentic self, and you can have whatever you believe you deserve. In actuality, you already have what you believe you deserve, but you can change it if you're not happy with it or you want more.
So I want to switch gears real quick and talk about a common reference that's going on in the conscious community, or just among black people in terms of publicly, and that's the situation with the Prince of Pan-Africanism, our beloved Dr. Umar, and the sister who we don't really know as well, but have love for as well. Her name is Kim. What's her last name? Ringgold, aka the conscious stripper. So what do you have to say to on that subject with our brother Umar and sister Kim?
What we just said, you know. So really, just knowing yourself, understanding your boundaries, knowing what you're getting out of a relationship, and whether or not it matches what you say that you want. So if you're really going on a date, what a date is, what it means to be intimate, and that you agree with the person that you're with, so that there's not some confusion as a woman because you're getting something that you would think that there's more to the relationship that there is. And then just being your authentic self. Whatever it is that you really want, be that, and don't be afraid to show that you're that.
Right. And I think what I would say, because and many of you may not know, we've talked to Umar several times about his position, and we love Dr. Umar. We support him, his school, and I think that this opportunity with what they going through is something we can all learn through, because we've all been in crazy situations. You know, of course, we know our situation has been international and has been all through media with infidelity, which we had several years ago in our relationship. But I would say, what I share with Omar is that, this is what I'm coming from culturally. You can't be a leader of the people, meaning the men and the women, and you're in a forefront position and you're not married. It presents a challenge, and it presents an opportunity for divisiveness, and it makes you imbalanced in terms of what you're offering. So I have been telling him for the last 2 or 3 years that, brother, you got to get married. If you're growing, you're one of our premier leaders, we support you, but you have to get married, because without being married, you yourself lack the balance that you need to deliver this message, but also you make the culture look suspect. In African culture, you can't be a leader of the group and you don't have a mate. That is impossible to do. And so I would say that. And then the only other thing I would say is you got to have a methodology to hooking up. And you know, we talk about that in the book, and we advocate that in our counseling practice. There has to be a method to coming together before you get to the point of sex. And if you don't have that, you're subject to all kind of craziness. However, we're not judging them. So it's imperative that you have a methodology to dating and courting. You need to have an order in the court, you know, the way you court. And so we deal with that in the Heat of Love workshop that's touring around the East Coast this summer. First date, I think, is in the first day of August in Newark. And we'll be out there sharing, you know, no demonstrations, but we will be doing some visual aids, and it's very fun and interactive for adults, tastefully done, holistic sex and intimacy between the black couple. And so
we'll have a couple more videos coming out about the science of an orgasm, how to have the perfect intimate communication, and just how to maximize your experience using all 7 senses. So just look out for those, and then let us know what do you want to know about sex, or what is your issue around sex, so we can include that too.
And so until we see you again, as always, we greet you in peace. Have sex, enjoy the summer, come together, unify with intention and purpose, and build something greater than yourself through the sex act. And until we see you again,
Mia Koma.
Hotep.